Hello everyone, welcome back to another video and this little ficus tree or multiple ficus trees that you can see right here in this pot. And as you probably can see right away, this ficus has gone through quite a lot the last couple of months. Winter really hit it hard. You can see a lot of dead leaves here. It has rebounded now a bit with new leaves, new growth. So I thought it is time to clean it up a bit, making it look somewhat decent again. And I thought, why not do this together on a video? So the goal for this one today is to, of course, clean out all the dead leaves and then give it a bit of a prune and also talk a bit about simply what my plan is for this little ficus here in the future. So I would say let's start right away by cleaning out all the dead leaves that you can see that have already formed here in the middle of this, as I said, multiple trunk ficus. So we really just shake it down, basically, get as much out as possible this way, and then we clean out the rest by hand here in the middle, where a lot of them have collected. It basically almost lost all its leaf in autumn, starting autumn and then also continuing in winter. And I'm not quite sure why, because I have other ficus in the same room, basically in the same area, that have not had this problem. But this one reacted very harshly to the change of seasons. I mean, I do see a lot of growth now again, luckily for a couple of weeks already, but at one point I really thought like this is a lost case because it lost simply so many old leaves. And I hate that they're all collecting in here, which makes it really difficult to clean them out. But we try to get as much as possible simply out so they don't clutter it up here too much. Also here some are even still quite strongly sticking to the branches, but nevertheless, of course, they have to go. I'm also just putting them here in the pot now. I will clean the pot anyway later also, but for now, we just take them out this way. So most we have already. It's always a bit of tedious work to get all the dead growth out here. This is actually a problem it already had when I got this tree, when it was way bushier. So this was all filled in with leaves, of course. But nevertheless, as it was so dense, the leaves in the middle here died back because no sunlight could reach them. And also back then it always collected the dead leaves in here. Back then it was even more difficult to get them out because you had all the other foliage still around it. So at least this way it's easier. Let me see where this new growth is actually coming from. Mainly from down and then some starting also from up here again. So at least that's a good sign that it will fill in again. But at the moment, not the case yet. So I think for now, that is enough of the cleanup of dead leaves, and now we have to take a look at the growth, because of course I don't really want any growth coming here from the bottom of the trunk, because in the future the goal is to fuse the trunk here actually, which we'll talk a bit more about in a couple of minutes. But for now I want to take out all of the growth that comes from down here. So we simply go around the tree, taking out all this growth as close to the trunks as possible, because I don't want to have then later on some residual branches forming. Then I really don't need that. So I will try to go as close as possible and take it out. Even up here, I find it still a bit too low, actually, in my opinion, for new growth to form. So we also take this growth here out. Some dead leaves still that's stuck here. Also here we have one that is quite low, one that is coming down by itself anyway. This here I will prune a bit back because I don't need it that long, but I will not completely cut it because it already comes at a point where new growth, in my opinion, can form, where I'm fine with it. Also for the future look of this tree. But you can see here, it is somewhat healthy, but it's still quite hanging, quite loose, this new growth. So I'm not sure if it is too healthy, the tree overall. So I will definitely keep an eye on it. Even though it rebounds now, as I said, let's see if it will continue in a positive way or rather go back to suffer now the rest of winter. Hopefully it will be the former. Also here there's a leaf that is just dying back now, so we can already take this one out also. Here's some also coming off. They also come off quite easily, which is not a too good sign also. Some dead leaves still. But it definitely has already changed the look of the tree again a lot. It looks like a tree again actually, which is good. But here I'm really looking forward to see how much it will basically create new foliage up here, fill in the bare spots again. Normally Ficus is very good at doing that, so I'm not too concerned at this point. We might have to cut some of it a bit back if it dies back too much, but as you can see, a lot of new growth also forming here on the tips of the branches. I'm not really that concerned at this point. Also here, for example, a lot of new growth really coming right from the tip. Here's still the dead leaf. And then we can still simply do some normal pruning around the tree, trying to give it some form again. Of course, this is not now in any way a final pruning or anything. It is the middle of winter still, so the real growth season is ahead of it. We'll change the shape, of course, a lot again. So this is just to give it a slight shape again now for the rest of winter. And already maybe direct the growth in some way. Taking out undesirable growth and keeping on desirable one. This one here, for example, I don't think I will need. It also goes rather down, so I don't think we need that. Here we have a branch that died back already again, so we take that one out. We take a look at it. Of course, it's still hard to estimate because it is so bare in the middle, so it all looks a bit weird on it, but I do have high hopes it will fill in again. Good. Maybe this one here still shorten a bit. And other than that, I would say pruning wise, that is enough. And now I would still just quickly tell you a bit more about what my final goal for this tree is. It's basically, you can already see I did bind the tree here. This one here was actually on when I already bought it, because my goal is to really now in winter have it tied together, already get into this form a bit. And then in spring, I really want to try to fuse these trunks together to create one thick trunk and then a more like broom-like bonsai out of it. So that is the overall goal. Hopefully until then it will recover and be in good enough health for me to actually do that. I probably will also repot because I do believe that the soil is maybe one of the problems that the tree had. It is still in the soil that I bought it in. It's very dense. So that might be the problem simply with this tree, that the soil was not the best, especially now for winter. Also, maybe it retained too much moisture, and that of course is never beneficial for a tree. But as I said, want to basically fuse the trunks up to probably the second wire here, and then have it very nice and broom-like for the beginning, and maybe in the future then develop certain trunks, giving it more of an informal shape. But we will see as we go along on this tree, which of course will be probably the next couple of years if it does well until then, but I do think so. I think it will recover quite nicely. I also like here, I'm not sure if you can see this, it has some sort of cavity here, so there is no trunk here, which also could give it, when we fuse it together, a nice look with almost like an old tree that often have this hollowed out space at the base of the trunk. So I really think it has some nice potential for also trunk fusion. Of course, I will keep you updated on that. We'll also do a video when I do the trunk fusion, or I will try the trunk fusion, to give you an idea how my idea will then look like in practice. So stay tuned for that. It should come hopefully this spring, a video like that. If you have any questions about this tree other than that, of course, feel free to leave them in the comments. I get to answer them as soon as I see them. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to also leave a like. If you have any tips for this one, of course, always happy to hear them. And if you enjoy my channel, of course, feel also free to subscribe to it. Hopefully then I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.